In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Happy feasts, brethren. Today we celebrate Saints Peter and Paul, the two chief of the apostles, the great evangelizers who spread the Christian faith throughout the ancient world. And there's a phrase today from the readings, which I think is very, very important for us to understand. My strength is made perfect in infirmities. Or in another translation, my strength is made perfect in weakness. Sometimes we think that we're not up to the task of evangelizing the people around us. Sometimes we think we're not up to the task of living the Christian life. Sometimes we think we're just not up to the task. And because of our weakness, because of our infirmity, for all of the various reasons, for all of the various excuses that we can make. But it's precisely in the midst of that sense of weakness, whether we're old or whether we're young, whether we're distracted with a million things, or whether we're living our lives in a state of kind of despondency. God can work through that. And if we can enter into that flow of His grace, that flow of His love, which is one of the things that we celebrate when we celebrate the Divine Liturgy. Indeed, we participate in that flow of grace, right? Every time we sing, Lord have mercy, that's what we're affirming. Because Lord have mercy doesn't mean Lord have clemency on me. It means it's an affirmation that God's mercy is being poured forth like oil. His mercy endureth forever. We sing in Psalm 135 in the Paliale like last night. That mercy pouring forth is His grace, it's His compassion, it's His love, it's His strength, it's His activity. And what He calls us to is to join ourselves to that flow of His love, of His strength, of His activity, for that to energize us, for us to seize upon that and let that inspire us and carry us along and give us the strength to do whatever it is, whether it's to go out and spread the gospel, or whether it's simply to keep the disciplines of the church, or whatever it may be. My strength is made perfect in weakness. If we think that we can do it on our own, we're kidding ourselves. We're kidding ourselves. But if we acknowledge our weakness, if we acknowledge our infirmity, then it gives God space to act. If we think, well, I'm strong, I can do whatever I set my mind to, that I can go out and I can preach and I can teach and I can establish churches and all of that stuff. If we do that simply on the basis of our own strength, in other words, coming out of our own ego, it's for naught. It's for naught. And the people that we may convert, we think, to orthodoxy, are being converted not to Christ, but to me. And who needs that? Who needs that? Because it's all about Christ. And so when we can enter into that flow of His love, of His compassion, of His mercy, of His healing, of His joy, and spread that around by being witnesses to that new life which He has given to us, then truly we're manifesting Him, not us. We're manifesting His strength in our weak and infirm vessels, so that others can partake. and be fulfilled and be energized and have a sense of love, of being loved, can receive that compassion and in turn have compassion on those around us. Isn't this the message of the gospel? That Christ came to raise us up in our infirmity, not from a bed of sickness, but from the grave itself. He came to our weakness, not the weakness of illness, but the weakness of death, and shattered it and overcame it. This is the message of the apostles. This is the message of Saints Peter and Paul. That we being made perfect by God's grace and by God's energy and by God's activity, in spite of our weakness, might be truly his servants, not to anything about us or for us, but purely for the sake of the love of Christ and for the kingdom of God.